Knowledge is power. When you know, you know. Understanding economics, must know, must get it right. Economically empowered. You as an individual, you must be economically empowered. It is a discipline that we every day in, day out, when you wake up and when you sleep, when you go there and when you come here, it's about economics. Direction. What is economics? The art of making use the scarce resources with an aim to get the optimal output over a given period of time. That is economics. Resources are scarce, but we must make use of the resources and produce the most out of the resources. When you talk about resources being scarce, it is very critical element. And I will be bringing in the 5 M's which are scarce. The growth, the best interest in economics is the utilization of resources which provides beneficial services to the society. Now, as individual, you're creating efficiency in economy by focusing on 2 things. Either you minimize the cost or maximize the gain from the production using the provided input. So you can increase your production or minimize your cost. That is efficiency in economics. The growth of every country is based on the economic variables. Now, which are these economic variables? Talk about transport, talk about infrastructure, talk about employment. So these are the variables that brings in and creates an economy. So the main focus is in the production and consumption. So there are 2 only foundation of economics: production and consumption. If the best balance is balance between production and consumption, then the economy will experience a disciplined economic growth. So our focus is to see which is this disciplined economic growth. Now, we have said the resources are scarce. So our focus will be on 3 critical foundations. Now, which are these 3 critical foundations? We have production, we have distribution, and we have consumption. Now, majorly, there are 2 foundations. It is production and consumption. But the 2 cannot make sense without distribution. Now, let me bring in the production. Production is critical. Resources are scarce, and one of the resources which is scarce is material. Men, money, management, and machines. So these are the scarce resources. Men are scarce, materials are scarce, machines are scarce, management is scarce, and time is scarce. So these are the M's which are very scarce as you talk about scarce resources for production purposes. Now, once you produce a product, consumption must take place. An economy is complete when there is consumption, production and consumption. Where there is production without consumption, there is no economy. And an economy which does more consumption than production is an underdeveloped economy. An economy which produces and consumes and remains at the surpluses is a developed economy. So we need to have this in perspective, that you can produce, but if it is not consumed, there's no economy there. So economy is critical when there is production and consumption. Now, what makes consumption possible is the distribution. How can the product reach the consumer from the producer to the consumer? It is the work of the distribution, the middlemen, the retailers, the wholesalers. So we need this chain to be complete. Economy is not complete without consumption. If goods are not consumed, we are not doing any economical activity. So an economy is productive, an economy is constructive, an economy is positive when the production and consumption is of critical importance, when the demand and supply is all about balancing act. This creates a foundation. What is the foundation of economics? It is production, it is distribution, it is consumption. Once you know this, now your basic knowledge of economics is now established. Now let's look at the pointers now. We have seen the foundation. Now our pointers will be now the pillars. What builds economics? What holds economics? Now we are now expounding the three foundation into 5-6 pillars, and these pillars are very critical in economics. Number one pillar is what to produce. When you talk about what to produce, we are actually referring to the conversion of raw materials into finished goods. What are you producing? Materials are scarce, but how can you convert that raw material into finished goods? So what are you producing? Number two is how to produce. We are thinking about, we are projecting, we are talking about the skills involved. We need the skills, we need the talent, we need the innovation, we need the invention. How goods are produced. Good innovation, good invention minimize the cost of production and maximize or optimize the output. So how to produce is very important. Who to produce? Now we are talking about the human capital. Who will produce what? Now this is when we talk about the human capital. The human capital is critical. The manpower. People who have knowledge, people who have professions in what they are supposed to do. And that's why in the market, in the economy now, we are facing what we call underemployment, because people are doing the wrong things. Your discipline, your profession is this, but you're doing a wrong thing. So we need to position men and women in their right positions. Who to produce? Number 4, whom to produce. You are producing these goods to who? We are looking at the consumption of produced goods. Who will consume what you are producing? Because the essence is, you can't just produce, you must produce with the mindset that who will consume what you are producing. So a production with consumption creates an economy. An economy is never complete without consumption. So whom to produce? Number 5, where to produce. The place where the production will take place is critical. The place, the space. A good place creates good production. A place where the infrastructure is good. A place where the networks are good. A place where the community will not be disrupted. There is no interruption in the social welfare of the community. Where is critical? Place is critical. And finally, when? The time factor. When is it supposed to be produced? You are producing, yes, but when is the right time to produce what you are producing? Remember, it's about demand and supply. You produce something, but it is not demanded, then you destroy the efficiency of the economy. So these are the pointers, these are the pillars of economics: what to produce, how to produce, who to produce, whom to produce, where to produce, and when to produce plays a critical role in economics. Even you as individual, you must sit down and think about your life. What kind of product do you want to become in the market? Then, how do you want your product? Which skills are you providing in the market? How can you be observed in the market? What is the consumption power? Whatever you are producing as individual, whom or who is going to pay to be the partakers of what you are producing? The pillars. After the foundation, you create good pillars. Finally, the moral of economic understanding economics. So economics is actually founded, is a connection, is a cycle between three P's: people, peace, and pace. These three create a good environment for economic growth, economic discipline, economic growth. We need people, we need peace, which is the stability. We need pace, the rate, the space. So these are the P's which create an economy. I've narrowed it down now to the reality. So we need people, we need peace. A peaceful environment will be a very productive environment. An stable environment creates unstable production, creates confusion, and finally pace, the rate at which we are producing what we are producing, the direction we are taking. Sometimes we think of economics, but we are not thinking about the rate. What is the impact to the environment? That is what I mean by the rate. What is the impact? We can be excited about growing an economy, but what is the impact to the environment? In fact, we are talking about global warming. We are seeing the changes in the patterns of weather, and that the contribution basically is about the economic growth. We are measuring on how to create an economy, but we are not concerned about the direction which the economy is taking. What is the impact of our economic growth to the environment? So the environment has its own way of coming back to us as we experience flood, all over the world. It is about economic, having a disciplined economic growth. Thank you. Empowered to be economically powerful.